Ooh, sounds like there's sand in this lens. That's not a good thing. This camera has gotten beat to shit, but it still does the job. All right, hey, what's going on, everybody? Bear with me 1 second. Got to send this email, and man, I'm going to begin this video with a ton of information that I think you might find interesting. I know it's pretty fucking interesting to me. Let's go ahead and proofread this real quick. This is going to the building official where that house is at that we just looked at, and I need some more information on it. I found a bunch of information on it, but I need even more, and this is the guy that may be able to provide me that information. I said, information request about a property I am interested in purchasing. Good morning, sir. My name is Joe Guerrero II, and I'm emailing you with hope that you may be able to provide me with some information about said address. I have a feeling this is a property you are very familiar with. The property looks to have sustained damage from flooding at one point in time, possibly Hurricane Isabel. However, that hurricane took place in 2003, and I've seen this property has sold for $264,900 in December of 2007. So well after Hurricane Isabel, this property sold for a decent little grip. Again, it sold for $264,900 in December of 2007. But listen to this. In April of 2008, the property sold for $160,000. $100,000 less than it had just sold for, what, 4 or 5 months earlier. So I wonder if there was a storm in the between time of these two sale dates that caused damage, or if it was the collapse of the housing market that caused the drastic change in value. Not really a question I'm asking this guy, just kind of spitballing that, talking out loud, thinking out loud, I mean. And if he answers anything, if he has any information on that and he provides that, all the better, right? My questions for you, sir, are, I put one, but there's a ton of questions. So my questions for you, sir, are, is this home repairable? Or does it require to be torn down? And are there any open permits on this property, or worse, stop work orders? It looks like quite a bit of this home has been demoed, and then it just appears that the work stopped. So any information you might be able to provide me through the Freedom of Information Act as an interested possible buyer of this property would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for your time. Also, please feel free to give me a call if that's easier at XYZXYZXYZX. My phone number. Again, thank you very much for your time, and I will look forward to hearing from you. Sincerely, Boss Status Joe Guerrero, Freedom of Information Act. Let's go ahead and hit the old sendaroo on that. Bing. Boom. What email did I send that from? That works. No biggie. All right. Folks, my goodness, I've done quite a bit of digging on this house, and let's get ready to get up into it. Like I mentioned, there was a major hurricane that hit that area where this house is located at, Urbana, back in 2003. It was Hurricane Isabel. And boy, oh boy, did I find some interesting stuff on that. So let me go ahead and pull up where I found that. First of all, I found what's called the Virginia Chronicle Library of Virginia. And it's through this that I'm able to see super old newspapers from all over the state of Virginia. I didn't even know that this thing existed. I find this. I'm going to include a screenshot of this. October 2nd, 2003. The South Side Sentinel. That's the local newspaper for this area. And on the cover it says, on the road to recovery, power restored to most of Middlesex homes, massive cleanup of destruction underway. And real quick, let me just go ahead and skim all the way through this thing to this page right here. All right, well, it's going to be a real grainy, shitty picture that I'm including right here. But anyways, there's an entire page, you're not going to be able to see much of this, that says the Fury of Isabel with all of these pictures. And in fact, this one picture in the bottom corner, you can't really see what that is. But it's a boat sitting on an enclosed boat lift, and the caption of and it kind of looks like it's like hanging off of that boat lift too. And the caption of this says, the only reason Hurricane Isabel did not take this boat on the Rappahannock near Christ Church is because a piling pierced the bottom of the vessel to hold it in place. This was in 2003. I know for a fact this hurricane devastated that area and probably flooded the house that we just went and looked at. But you're talking 5 years later, 4 or 5 years later, there was a sale. In 2007, the property sold for $264,900. Then in 2008, right during the recession, the collapse of the housing market, the property sold for $160,000. Was the house in livable condition when it sold in 2007 for $264,900? Had it been repaired from the potential and more than likely probable flood damage that took place in 2003? And if it was repaired, was it some sort of a scab job where, you know, there was still a lot of moisture in that property and then it became a mold factory, basically? And then in 2008, you know, that might have came to light, or the collapse of the housing market. Both of those are very plausible situations. And then the property sells for $100,000 less than what it had just sold for 4 months prior. I'm going 100 miles an hour, but I got a lot to share here, and I don't want to miss anything with this. In 2019, the house was listed for... Okay, here we go. In 2019, the house was listed for $150,000. That would be the next sale of this property. 2007, 2008, 11 years later... In 2019, the house was listed for $150,000, and it would be in May of 2020, a year after this thing had been originally listed. The house sold for $95,000. The person who has this house right now bought this house for $195,000, and they've relisted this house 2 years later for $140,000 is what they want. Did they dump money into this demoing this house out? Are they the ones that did this demo? They have to be. Because in 2019, that's where those pictures come from that showcase the interior of this house. There's only 2 interior pictures. I showed it to you in the last video, but the walls are still up in this. Or in 2019, the walls are still up. So here we go. I want to share the first interesting tidbit. When I go back to 2019, when the house was listed for $150,000, but then it would sell a year later for $95,000, let me read to you the listing. It's crazy that I was able to find this. Actually, my wife found this, so shout out to her. So here's what the listing says in 2019. Huge price reduction. Serene water view of the lovely Perkins River from spacious 2,859 plus square feet. 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in Urbana. Apartment over the garage. Home needs significant restoration. Septic system needs voluntary upgrade, whatever the fuck that means. Or hook up to town of Urbana sewer. Call agent with questions. Purchaser could finish the apartment over the garage relatively quickly. Live on site while working on the main part of the house. Beautiful 1-acre lot is surprisingly private yet conveniently located within walking distance to the Urbana Library, Urbana Town Park, restaurants, shops, and Uptown Marina, with possible boat slip rentals. Man, they're just painting this fairy tale picture here. Bring your vision, practicality, and determination to realize the possibilities. When I was talking with my father yesterday about this, I said it's funny the way that they word things. Bring your vision, practicality, and determination to realize the possibilities. What they're saying right here is this house would be damn near impossible. Get into this if you want to. You're talking damn near impossible. That's what I read between those lines. Property may be a candidate for an FHA 203K rehabilitation loan that allows a home buyer and homeowners to finance the cost of repair work to improve, renovate, or rehabilitate their primary residence and incorporate loan within their mortgage. Home is sold as is. Purchaser may do own inspection for informational purposes. Seller to make no repairs or do any inspections. There is a lot they know about this property that they don't want to share with you about this property, and that's in 2019. Okay? So 2007 there was a sale, 2008 there was a sale. 2019, there was a listing. 2020, it was sold for $95,000. Something big happened in the between time. Was it in 2007? Was it in 2008? Was it between 2008 and 2019? Was there another hurricane that took place right there? The only thing that I can find is Matthew. And Matthew didn't really hit this area too bad. I know it hit north of us, like New Jersey and New York got devastated by Matthew, but I don't know. And it makes me just think, was all of this from 2003 Irene? Was this thing sitting just that long? I mean, Isabel, was this, and Irene was another hurricane that took place. Was this thing just sitting that long with all of that mold and bullshit? And was it the people who own it right now that went in there and gutted this property? A lot of unknowns that I'm trying to get at least some sort of perspective about. So interesting to share that in 2019, this property was fucked up. We do know that. So after 2007, when it sold for $264,900, where it seems that if there was damage from 2003, by 2007, hey, the house was sellable for a decent little price. At least that's what it seems like. So from what it seems, 2007 to 2019, something must have happened again. If, I don't know. If the house was repaired after. I got an email back from this guy. Okay, I got an email back from this guy immediately. Man, that's awesome. And information, crazy information right there. Wow. Woo! All right, but let me continue real quick. Short of it is, something happened, whether it was Isabel or whether it was another hurricane. So I'm just laughing at what this guy just said to me, but I'll share that in a minute. So let me go back to the newspaper article real quick, because here's the deal. Somebody started this renovation project, right? We saw the silt screen, we saw the demo, walls down to the studs, no flooring in the property whatsoever. But here's the deal. That archived newspaper, right there on the front page, right underneath Road to Recovery, is this article right here. Let me go ahead and screenshot that. Let me zoom in on this. This is very interesting to note. The title of this article says, some flooded houses are required to be repaired to higher standards. Even after floodwaters have receded from a home, the danger is not over. We're talking mold is basically where that's going to go immediately. Middlesex building official David Slelf, who's emailing me right now, is also very concerned about mold forming. Any house we saw that got water into the first floor is automatically condemned. We saw signs of water lines in that property. A structure that is condemned does not mean it has to be torn down. Well, that's interesting to note right there, because that's exactly what I was thinking. The zoning director would say about that. Condemnation simply means that a building is unsafe for habitation or occupancy. This section of the code does not state how a condemned structure should be repaired. A lot of interpretation right here. We've mentioned that interpretation of the code. They're saying, hey, just because it says it's condemned, what they don't say is how the road to recovery for that property goes and what should be done. So they're just saying, if you can get the property right, you can get the property right. This section of the code does not state how a condemned structure should be repaired, replaced, or demolished. A condemned structure does not necessarily have to be demolished. Middlesex Building Code deals with how repairs to existing structures should be handled. Here's where it gets interesting, right? This is so important to mention. I was going to say pay attention. Sorry. If the cost of the alterations or repairs are in excess of 50% of the value of the structure, then the structure has to comply with all requirements of the building code and floodplain ordinance current, right? All that grandfathered in shit goes out the window. And see, what I had thought and how it's been explained to me before was, if you have to renovate 50% of the home or more to get it flipped, well, then it has to be up to par. Right here they say if the renovations cost 50% of the value of the structure. Man, that's crazy. We see this house listed for $140. We're talking about trying to get this house for $115. We're saying this thing maybe could be worth, $500,000-$600,000. But let's look at the current value of this home. Let's just say the home's worth $200,000. The tax assessment is $200K for this property. If we spend $100K, we got to be up to current code, and we've already said it's probably going to be about $250,000. To get this property up to current code is a mountain of a molehill, literally. And here's where I'm going with this. That property probably sits too fucking low. First of all, probably sits too fucking low in relation to the water table, floodplain, whatever the situation may be. If you look at all of the other houses surrounding, them joints is up on hills. This joint's down in the hollow, in the valley, right? This thing sits low. That's one thing to mention. So to get this thing up to current code, how high do you got to jack that house up? Really wanted to share that really important part of this first and foremost. Next thing that I want to share with you. God, I hope I've got this in my email. I have got so many tabs opened on this computer. Let me go ahead and move on to, damn, did I email this to myself? Tell me you did it, Joe. Tell me you did. You didn't do it. You didn't do it. Man, trying to find this is going to be Virginia Building Code 4 foundations. Folks, here we go. Here's the next mountain / molehill. Can a house have pier support that are 4x4s? Are 4x4 pier supports underneath of a house, pier and beam, as it's referred to, is that adequate support for foundation of a house? It is very hard to find information about that particular question, but the short of it is that I have interpreted from the code is yes, you can, within reason. You can't just have 4x4s up under the house the way that this house has 4x4s up under the house. That's the first thing that I have gathered from my research. And matter of fact, let me share a picture with you that I feel like if you do have 4x4 piers under a house, well, at the very fucking least, they better look like this. And let me share this picture with you guys right here. So we're sitting up on a concrete block. We've got these anchors right there. Like there's a lot going on with that particular pier and beam 4x4 support, right? We've got that metal cap on it, whatever you call that. Here's another picture right here that looks just a hell of a lot better than what we're seeing up underneath of the house that we have right now. We've got those anchor bolts going through those beams. And then again, you've got those metal brackets on top and below the 4x4 post sitting on top of a concrete pad. If you're going to have 4x4 support up underneath of a house as your pier support, it better look something like that. That would be what I imagine it needs to look like. Folks, that's not even the bigger issue. The fact that this house primarily sits on 4x4s for pier support. Let's go back to the code. Chapter 4, foundations. We talk about material. We talk about concrete. We talk about pressure treated wood in chapter 4. But there's something that we really need to hone in on, and that is if the house sits on a crawl, which this house does because it's elevated, right? It's not sitting on a concrete slab. It doesn't have a basement. This house sits on what would be a crawl because you can crawl underneath of it, I guess is the short way to talk about that. As we scroll through the code, section R403-1-2, continuous footing in seismic design categories DO, D1, and D2. Whatever the fuck that means. Don't honestly know. The most important thing, though, is what they say in this section. Exterior walls of buildings located in seismic design categories, which I think, you know, we're talking about a house built on a crawl is probably going to fit into that category right there. Exterior walls of buildings located in seismic design categories DO, D1, D2 shall be supported, and maybe that was crawl, slab, and basement is what I think that is, those seismic DO, D1, D2 categories. Exterior walls of a building located in those categories shall be supported by a continuous, solid, or fully grouted masonry or concrete footing. Other footing materials or systems shall be designed in accordance with accepted engineering practice. What I thought that I was reading right there was the fact that you need to have the full concrete block foundation, you know, that encapsulates and encloses the crawl. But maybe they're talking about, you know, digging the trenches, putting in the rebar, you know, digging what your piers are going to sit on, digging your footing. I'm still thinking the house has to have that block foundation, completely enclosing it. That does so much. You have to have that. So anyways, if that is code, which it certainly probably is, how the fuck do you add that after the fact? All right. Anyways, I got an email from this guy. Let me share with you what he says. I'm sorry this video is going to be Joe Talks About Stuff. I do apologize. But I find all of this... Where the fuck is the email at? What email did I send this to him from? Why can't I find the email? Yo, did he delete his response? I think this guy deleted his response to me. Can you do that? Because why the fuck won't my email show me his response?
County.
Yes, ma'am. Is the building official in?
Here. Hold on just a minute.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. My name is Joe Guerrero. I had sent an email this morning inquiring some information about a property I'm looking to purchase in Urbana. The address of that property is... I was wondering if I could get some information on that property if you have a moment.
Yes, sir.
First of all, I emailed the building official, Mr. David Sleff, this morning, and I think that he responded to me, but I couldn't open the email for some reason, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. Are you familiar with the street at all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's been a lot of interest in it.
I can imagine, and that's what I had mentioned to the building official. I said that's probably a property you're pretty familiar with. I don't want to take up too much of your time. My main concern about this property is it obviously sustained some sort of damage from some storm, probably flooding. I saw that Isabel impacted the area pretty bad back in 2003. And I read an article that said, you know, if the property was flooded, obviously it was condemned. It looks like the property has been gutted at this point. Do you know if this property is at all salvageable? Does this property require to be torn down?
No, I don't think it's, from what I remember and what we looked up on it previously, the last permit that was ever pulled on that property was in 2007.
Okay.
And it was pulled by Master Builders, who was the contractor. And after that, I think they did a little bit of work to it, but there was really no inspections called.
Okay.
But after that, it's been sold to different people.
Right.
Since that, and everybody did a little bit of work by themselves. Of course, unpermitted work.
Right. You know, I look at the foundation of that property. That property is literally sitting on 4x4 pier support, which
right.
is never going to be to code.
No.
it also looks like it sits.
None of it is.
Yeah, I know. And, to even get that to code would require, I mean, you need a concrete foundation around that property, a block foundation around the entire property at the very least. So there's quite a bit of work that needs to be done. And that was the main reason why I was inquiring as to, had it been stop worked? Is it a condemned property still? And, one, is it even salvageable? And outside of, code enforcement.
As I'm aware of, it's not condemned. And I know there's a few additions that was been added to it, and I want to say it's on the water side. You could actually see it. They were pretty much built on a deck. So, of course, all of that's going to have to be brought up to code. Most of them 4x4s that are there would have to either become piers on a footer, and I'm not sure what's even underneath those 4x4s when they did all of that.
It almost looks like a fence installation, if there's even concrete down there. And I've seen some of the concrete piers, the block piers that are inside of the dwelling that have looked like they have sunken. So, there's quite a bit that needs to be done there. Another question maybe you can answer for me, and again, thank you so much for your time. Any issue with the Environmental Protection Agency with that being so close to the water? Is it even possible to bring that property up to current code? Because wouldn't they get involved at that point with it being so close to the water, saying, hey, look, with these additions, that's just too close?
I can't answer that question, but I can transfer you to the environmental officer. Maybe he can answer those for you.
I definitely would appreciate that. And one final thing that I greatly appreciate your time on this. I know you've had a ton of inquiries about this property, so I really appreciate it. Was there a storm that took place after Isabel that really caused some damage in the Middlesex area?
No.
So
most of that damage was done by just, I think from what I've found out about it, that one of the owners actually let somebody live in there rent-free under agreement that they were going to fix it up or work on it for free or something like that. And a lot of that damage was done by the people that lived there.
Wow.
Not by the storm.
Wow, that is very crazy. And sir, I greatly appreciate all that information. I'm not going to take up any more of your time. If you could transfer me, I would greatly appreciate that.
All right. I'll transfer you. His name is. He deals with all the wetlands and RPAs and all that stuff.
I greatly appreciate that, sir.
No problem.
And you have a great day. How you doing? My name's Joe Guerrero, and I'm calling you inquiring about a property. Are you familiar with that property at all?
Before you get started, I'd like to clarify that if it's in the town of Ravenna, any kind of questions regarding RPA zoning, you need to call the town office. We actually don't zone in the town of Ravenna. They have their own zoning and planning department.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that. Do you perchance know their number by any chance?
I can give it to you.
I greatly appreciate it.
Generally, all I'm going to handle in that town is going to be wetlands, and that's anything off the shore. If you're doing any type of piers or riprap, anything like that, but anything to do with zoning for setbacks or for the actual property would go through their office. I think we just review after their approvals of us reviewing is any kind of structure, so you have to go through them.
Okay, well I'll definitely give them a ring. I greatly appreciate that, sir.
No problem. It's just the way that town's set up. They have their own department that handles that. The building stuff, again, if you have plans, I think they usually go to them first, and then once they give you a letter stating that you can submit them to the office here to review, then they'll go there. But any kind of setbacks, any kind of RPA, any kind of clearing of trees, anything like that, it's all going to go through that town. If they have questions, sometimes they'll call and ask us because they don't deal with a lot of things, but Any type of questions they'd have to answer, I can't answer them for you.
And real quick, I just want to ask you my question, and maybe because it's already been built. This is nothing that we're trying to get approved. Basically, this home sits pretty close to the water. There were some additions that were built on this home that were not permitted. That's my initial reason for calling the building official who transferred me to you. And my concern is to even bring this up to current code right now. Is it going to be am I not going to be able to do that if I was to purchase this property, because where this sits currently could be too close to the wetlands?
That all depends on the town's opinion on it. If they feel that part of the structure was built without permits, they may not release anything, because generally any kind of expansion of a home and the footprint of the RPA outside of town that I would handle, if it's expanding, you have to get plans, you have to submit things for them depending on when it was built. It may be something that we could review in-house. If it was built after a Bay Act, you're talking about going to a Board of Zoning Appeals, so a lot of times it gets difficult to process this stuff, but it all depends on time frame and what their rules are.
Okay.
And with the Bay Act, there's limitations on how close you can get to the water, even though you can build in 100 foot. But again, if he's built stuff without permits, it may be difficult to go through a process. But again, that's for them to figure out and answer on their own. And
real quick, one final question I want to ask you. How close can you build to the water currently?
It all depends on the plan, and it all depends on the property when it was zoned. I mean, if you say, for instance, outside of the town of Urbana, if you buy a lot that has nothing on it on the waterfront and it's small, you're allowed to encroach up to the 50-foot permitted encroachment with the necessary relief that you need. I'm not saying you need to build right up to it with the biggest thing you want, but if you buy a property that's a pre-bay, post-bay lot, there's ample room outside the 100 foot. By law, you need to build outside of it.
Okay.
If you buy a property that has a house that's a pre-bay lot, pre-bay house, it's already 100 foot, you want to add on to it, it's a non-conforming use. If you buy a house that's on a lot that's post-bay, built outside 100 foot, and you want to put something in the 100 foot, you're going to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and explain why you need to encroach further into the buffer or encroach into the buffer when everything is already outside that buffer. So each one is a different case-by-case property. There's no one that truly fits each property.
Sir.
But it depends on when it's surveyed. It depends on when it's built.
Sir, I greatly appreciate the information. It's been quite insightful. I'm going to give the town of Urbana a call right now and see what kind of information they could possibly provide me with.
See what they will do with it, because I think that we get a lot of calls about these homes that are for sale, and these ones in the towns, I just can't answer a lot of the questions because it doesn't pertain to what I do. But I think the one thing that would come up is, we're work hand in hand, is that they handle the RPA, but a lot of times if there's land disturbance, that kind of trickles over to our department. But then we try to work with them and meet with them and discuss stuff so we can all be on the same page when these projects come about.
I greatly appreciate it, sir. You've been super insightful, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for the information.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Holy cow, a lot of information, and the email's just now coming through. Okay, now I got the email. He definitely deleted his first email, and now he's written me back. This is the building official. He told me at first there were no open permits, no stop work orders. It wasn't in a flood zone. That was all I could see before that email disappeared. I saw that on my home screen, but now he's just emailed me back, and he says, renovation will have to include bringing the structure into compliance with today's building code. We read that. In particular, the foundation and the flooring systems. Everything that I've just been mentioning here. Thank you very much, sir. Period. Your information is quite helpful. Period. Whoo, boy, the post-Bay Act, the pre-Bay Act, man, once you start talking about that, I'm trying to tell you, that ecosystem, them wetlands, man, they don't fucking play. And to learn that all of this work has taken place without permits, we've built fucking additions, that big warehouse that we looked at, was built on a freaking deck foundation. They know this house. And they know that it's going to take the entire foundation to be rebuilt. Can you install a foundation under a pre-existing home? We're not talking about going in there and jacking some stuff up and adding a couple of piers. We're talking about putting a block foundation, footers and all, around an entire property that don't have none of that, and then add on. How close is this to the water? Because it's super close. I don't even need to know anything further. Like, this gets kind of scary. This gets kind of red tape. Not kind of. This is super red tape. All the way around the board. You know, let's call this other town. I just want to hear somebody tell me it's got to be torn down.
Thank you for calling.
Yes, ma'am. I'm calling trying to get some information about a property in Urbana, and I don't know exactly who I need to speak with. I was just speaking to the environmental agent for Middlesex, and he told me that I needed to contact this office in an effort to try to gain some more information.
What's the property address and what do you need?
The property address is...
Okay.
And
I'm familiar with it. I can see what I can help you with, but
right. So I'm sure there's a property you get quite a bit of information on. So basically,
what do you need to know?
Okay, I know the work there was done without permits. I know that the foundation there is needing to be completely corrected. My main concern is with those unpermitted structures that are there, and with the proximity to the water there, are those structures able to be brought up to current code, or would I run into a lot of red tape with the proximity to the water?
That I cannot answer. I'm going to give you our zoning administrator is not in today, but I can give you his email address.
Yeah, that would be great. All I want is somebody to tell me it's got to be torn down, which it probably has to be torn down. Even if you can get that property up to code, to current code, we're talking about 50% or more of the home's value. They know it's going to take more than that to get that property up to par. So for that, it's got to be brought up to current code. Also, that doesn't even make... That's small potatoes in the grand scheme of things where they built this. They just built whatever they wanted, wherever they wanted. And if those buildings were built post-Bay Act, whatever the hell that means, there's a great possibility that all that shit's going to have to get torn down. All those additions. Yikes. Crazy. All right. I think we found out quite a bit of information on that house, and I think all signs are really pointing toward... I don't think that's going to be the one, Chief. You know, unless we go in there, we just go in there with the mindset, tear this motherfucker down and start over. That's really the only thing that seems even plausible. And I just don't know. I just don't know. That's quite a bit. Even outside of the amount of money that would take, the amount of time that would take. And, yeah. Speaking of time and wanting things to move at a breakneck speed, folks, so much to share with you guys. I heard from my realtor this morning about the inspection. Don't know shit except for the fact that my realtor says the inspection yesterday went good. We should hear something a little later today in terms of possible repairs. Now, I've heard inspections going good in the past, and you get hit with a list of 50 things. So we'll see how this all turns out. But here's even more crazy. Not only did the inspection take place yesterday, we're going to hear what's going on today. Everything supposedly went well, folks. Today, 12:30, I'm going to be getting the haircut today. They're doing the appraisal today. Holy shit. All of this is moving super fast. Damn. Hope it's going to go well. All right. Let me get up off of my ass and get this day rocking and rolling and share a little bit more with you guys in a little while. I don't know how much more I'm gonna have to this video. This thing is already super long. Let me know what you guys think. I hope what I'm sharing with you is super insightful, because it is to me. You know, this is what I think. I think that all the people who purchased this house went in there with the mindset that, oh, we're gonna flip this. Oh, this is gonna be worth $1 million. Oh, fuck the permits. Oh, forget the ecosystem and the wetlands and the Bay Act and all that shit. Like, man, it is easy to get in over your head. Oh yeah, we're gonna use 4x4s for the foundation. We won't even put concrete underneath it there. There were 2 other pending sales on this property. Both of those pending sales pulled out. Let me tell you what, this joint ain't worth nothing but the land that it's sitting on right now. And then, you know, let me share one other, God, I'm sorry, I'm just talking a lot. Let me share one other thing. I was talking with my father about this yesterday, and, you know, we were talking about the dock. You know, you're gonna have to go through the EPA, you know, the environmental agent and then it's gotta be, you gotta go in front of a board. If you wanna extend the dock, you gotta have your neighbor's permission, don't obscure their view. Like, yo, I wanna share this image with you right now of this Google Earth picture of the property that showcases this joint at low tide and how far out that dock would have to get extended just in an effort to be able to touch water. You're gonna have to go through the EPA to get that joint approved. Just board meetings and approvals and just so much more red tape. And then my father tells me, he's like, man, that dock gonna cost at least $50,000. Shit. I don't know how much more I can take. You're just beating my ass with this house. Everything is pointing toward, this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it. All right, 11:30 in the morning and getting ready to go to the post office. I'm getting ready to go drop off a ton of sticker orders. Look at all them damn sticker orders right there. There's probably 10 of those right there. Give a couple shout outs real quick. People who had purchased stickers. Theodore, very special shout out to you. Nathan, special shout out to you as well. Kathleen, Michael, Chris in Canada. Got to put that one off to the side. Shane, Micah, Timothy, and Leon in Germany. I do got to make a disclaimer that international orders are going to be $15 for sticker packages. Regular sticker packages in the US are $10. But I'm going to go figure out how much it's going to cost to ship internationally. But I'm going to send those out regardless, those 2 to Canada and Germany today. And I also got to go get another printer cartridge. My ink cartridge in the printer is out of color already. Son of a gun. Oh, I got a haircut at 12 o'clock today too. So nothing too exciting. Still waiting to hear about the inspection and the appraisal. That's going to be taking place while I'm getting my haircut. So hopefully all will be well. We won't hear shit on the appraisal for a day or so. Or maybe we don't hear anything, and if we don't hear anything, no news is good news when it comes to an appraisal. If you don't hear anything, that just means that you appraised. If you do hear something, then that might mean something's astray, which hopefully it won't be. All right, let's go to the post office and then go to Walmart and go get an ink cartridge. All right, just took care of that pretty quick. Leaving from the post office, which is great because it's literally pretty close to where I live at, so good deal. Anyways, international shipping is just an extra $2. So if you want stickers and you're international, it's $12, not $10. So we'll get that added onto the website as well. If we do t-shirts, of course, that's probably going to be a little bit of extra shipping, but we're not there just yet. Soon. All right, I'm gonna hit Walmart and then I got a haircut and just trying to keep busy today because it's the first day in a long time I ain't really had shit to do. I thought about trying to get over to the flip house and just check on things prior to the appraisal, but man, I ain't really got shit I'm trying to do over there. So I'm good with just taking care of what I got to take care of. Man, all sorts of people are out. They're just having little picnics and little lunch dates. It's beautiful weather for the first time in a while, so it's nice to see people out. The birds are singing. Haley's outside swinging. That was the Eminem song I was trying to think of. Yeah. All right, what did I say I was gonna do? Oh yeah, that's right, go get ink. Y'all wanna see ridiculous? Check this out. Gosh almighty, that joint's sitting up high. Yeah, buddy. He got out of that thing and then jacked that up. Yeah, he did. He came in here with that joint squatted. So, definitely got some major air suspension on that right there. All right, hey, oh shit, just got a haircut. Damn, I forgot about that. I literally just did that. Hope I'm looking put together some kind of way. Please don't hit me with your Prius right there. All right, got the haircut, and folks, breaking news. I got the home inspection as well. Oh my God, what did they say? Wait till you hear this. Hey, look, it's after 12 o'clock. I'm about to go find me some lunch at a grocery store. I need me some Harris Teeter sushi. Yeah, buddy, you're calling my name. Yo, and there's another house. I'm gonna go check that out in just a moment as well, and then we're gonna wrap this video up. We'll wrap the video up with the home inspection, and maybe checking a house out to a certain degree. I ain't gonna be able to go inside of it right this second, but at least get a little walk around, see if it's got an HVAC unit. Boy, oh, got the spicy tuna and got the Hawaiian roll tuna. Look at that joint though. Lunchtime, your boy is starving. All right, so getting ready to go look at a house that I saved on my little house search stuff, and don't really know a lot about this house. Just popped up, was looking at the listing for it. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It's 1,000 square feet, and they want $129 for this house. It's vacant. And I don't know anything about it for real. I know the area a little bit. I mean, it's relatively close to where flip 1 and 2 were at, but a little bit different, maybe a little shittier. Like I said, they want $129 for this house, 1,000 square feet, basically same square footage as the house that we just did, but definitely a different look, definitely an older house, and I don't know. We got to go put eyes on this thing. So, not sure anything else other than that. Just really want to see if it's got an HVAC unit. And I know it's going to need some work. I saw some pictures of the flooring. You know, we got those old hardwood floors that these old houses have. It's definitely got an interesting little entry. I don't know. We ain't going to be able to get inside of it. So, I can show you a picture. This is what I'm talking about right here. I don't know how to word what I'm trying to say. This little entryway or little partition type of deal. Pretty crazy looking right there. But with those hardwood floors, it looks like they had some self-leveling concrete on the floor, so maybe there's some foundation issues. Who the hell knows? But we need flip number 5, and I don't know if it's going to be that big one. It's probably not going to be that big one, just to tell you. So let's go see if this could be a contender for flip number 5. All right, definitely, oh shit, there is a dog here, son of a gun. I don't think I'm messing with them. All right, from what I can see, vinyl siding. Can't see nothing of the roof. Yeah. So here's the deal. This one right here beside it sold for a good price. And bingo. That's all I needed to see right there. Yeah, I got some interest. I'd be curious to check it out. Not with them damn dogs there though. Right next to an apartment complex over there. Well, I thought them dogs were running is what it sounded like. Street is, I don't know, quiet-isk. Not bad. Man, the lighting in here is not Very good. Getting ready to be raining outside again and all that good jazz. All right. I'm going to wrap this video up because it's a super long video, and let's recap a little bit. So we got quite a bit of information on that mini mansion part 2, basically the second mini mansion that we've looked at. Funny how both these mini mansions so far have been not it. Not really sure, where things stand with that house. Am I out? Am I still considering it? I don't know right this second. If I am still considering it, I'm not considering it all that much. So we got a lot of information about that. Got a haircut today, sent out some stickers. Shout out to everybody who's been copying stickers. And also got the report from the home inspection. What did it say? Well, I'm getting ready to share it with you right now. I'm gonna try to breeze through this thing as quickly as possible. So let me hit on a couple of things that were mentioned. Cracks in the driveway were mentioned. There was a window where the caulking probably needed to be recaulked. There was actually some plexiglass right there. We took that down. Funny how windows really weren't mentioned at all in the home inspection. I figured they would be. They're older windows. Nothing except for what I'm sharing with you right here came up in terms of windows. This HVAC line coming through needed to be resealed. And mind you, what I'm sharing with you right now is what the home inspector said. This is not what the potential buyer is asking for. We'll get to that in just a moment. They mentioned that missing piece of metal. There it is right there. Cracks in the bricks. Funny, we were taking out furniture from this house, big heavy pieces of furniture using a dolly when them bricks got cracked right there. They mentioned that. They mentioned the roof. What they said in relation to the roof was 3-tab asphalt shingles is the type of covering present on the roof. Request any available receipts or warranty documentation from seller for recent reshingling. Covering appears to be newer. Well, it is brand new, so there's that. Also mentioned those gutter downspouts I was talking about. You can see right here in the pictures how disconnected, not attached. There was that. The attic, they mentioned quite a bit of insulation up in the attic. That's good. And then, of course, boom, they mentioned the blocks, what they refer to as columns. The columns along the front of the structure are damaged, ×2. Recommend further evaluation by contractor or other qualified professional and repaired as needed to ensure serviceability. We'll get back to that in a moment because, of course, that was one of the repairs that they asked for. And then here we go. This is an interesting situation right here. The joists have excessive notches or holes. Recommend further evaluation by contractor and repair as needed to ensure serviceability. This was done during construction, I imagine, to run these water lines. There's really not a whole hell of a lot you can do right there. But then they also found some water, some moisture stained joists visible below drain pipe. Area was damp at time of inspection. Pooling of moisture present under the drain pipe. Recommended further evaluation. So what's interesting about this is the laundry area where we're fighting with that connection right there. So there was a leak that was there at one time. I don't know if that leak is still current or if we just didn't clean that up. I'm gonna have to get Damon to go up under. We're gonna have to check that out. But I think that water came from when I was changing out that piece. But of course, if there is a leak, we'll get that corrected. But that's the first that I'm seeing of that. And they mentioned a few other things, some things in relation to the HVAC. I'll share that with you guys. They mentioned the HVAC being unlevel. It needs to be leveled. They want the HVAC maintenance. We'll get to that in just a moment. And of course, they mentioned my dishwasher drain line said it's not secured under the sink. Recommend looping to prevent backups or clogs. Folks, that's it. This was a very short and sweet home inspection. That's what the inspector found. He did a very thorough job, so good to know there. And then in terms of repairs, they want the damaged columns. They're asking for that repair. The joists excessively notched and or holed. They're asking for that repair. The moisture stained joist below the drain pipe. They mentioned that. Improperly seated exhaust duct. There's a exhaust that goes up into the roof that where it connects to the roof at. It's not properly seated. So they want that. And then they want the HVAC. the units inside and outside service, to level the unit, secure the servicing panel, service the unit. They mentioned that twice, I don't know why. And then properly bond and grounded by a licensed professional. Anyways, those are the repairs that they're asking for. What am I not willing to do? Everything in relation to the HVAC, absolutely, I'll get the system serviced. No big deal there. The damaged columns, not fucking with it, man. Not fucking with it. And my excuse is going to be, because that's what it's going to be, my excuse. Been that way for 20 years. No signs of that disrupting anything. It is what it is. So I'll do everything except for that, as a matter of fact. Joist excessively notched or holed. Man, I hate to tell you how that repair is going to get done, but that joint is going to literally get scabbed. That's it. We're going to scab a piece over top of it. We'll scab a piece below it. We'll make it look real good. But there's not a whole hell of a lot you can do with that because you got the plumbing going right through there. We'll do the improperly seated exhaust duct. We'll figure out something with that as well. So those are the repairs that they're asking for. I'm willing to do all of those repairs except for the damaged column. It's a non-issue. Also went and tried to check out another house, but there were dogs in the backyard, and hey, that's it. This week is going to be kind of tough and tight because tomorrow's the only day that I got to get anything else done. It's going to be landscape. Maybe we go over to the house and start working on some of those repairs. To be honest with you, those repairs are paramount in comparison to the landscape. But we got to get that landscape done as well, so we might try to knock out 2 birds, 1 stone. I got to get a later start tomorrow too, but just what it is. And then I'll be out of town for the rest of the week. So hopefully we'll be able to get done some things that we need to get done. And it's raining again. It's good shit. That's all I got, folks. Hey, I hope this was a video you guys enjoyed. Let me know exactly what you think about this. I look forward to hearing what you have to say. And also look forward to sharing more with you guys tomorrow. Until then, take care.